Hello, I'm Andrew Pritchard. Thank you for watching today's Northeast Regional Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. We'll take a look at a snapshot view here, days 4 through 10, precipitation anomaly from the GFS ensemble model, and that highlights what's going to be a stormy and cool pattern up the entire East Coast into the Northeast region. The Corn Belt's going to be drying out over the next 7 to 10 days, but that's because we'll be forcing our storm systems off to the south from the southern plains right through this corridor, again through the southeast and then eventually up the East Coast. Looking at the week 2 precipitation anomalies, so this is going May 14th through May 21st, we see the same pattern, a drier Corn Belt, but an active central plains and active southern plains with our storm track being forced up and along the East Coast into the Northeast region. Temperature anomalies, days 1 through 5, we see the warmer risks across the southeast. We've got high pressure there that is pumping moisture up into the central United States, where we've got a boundary draped, and that's where we're seeing the development of low pressure over the central plains and an active next 72 hours across parts of the Corn Belt, where we deal with one last blast of heavy rain and thunderstorms, and that's going to be, again, tracking into the Northeast over the next week or so. The days 6 through 10 temperature anomaly, we introduced some cooler temperatures across the central part of the country, a big area of cooler weather as an area of low pressure settles in over the East Coast, over the eastern United States, I should say. But then again, combine that with the active and wet pattern across the Northeast, days 6 through 10, so May 13th through May 17th, looking active and cool across the East Coast up into the Northeast region. Looking at the hazards map, we're quiet for the most part across the Northeast region. A big area of flash flood watches and flood warnings across the Central Plains into the Mid-South, where, again, we're dealing with very active and very stormy weather. This will eventually begin pushing off to the Northeast, and we'll take a look at that here in just a moment. The high-resolution NAM model, we've got temperatures on the left, precipitation forecast on the right, and here is that boundary. You can draw just a stark line where we're in the 70s off to the south. Illinois, for example, in the 70s and 80s in the south, to the 40s and the 50s off to the north. So a big difference there going north to south across that boundary. And it's that boundary that's fueling the development of widespread showers and storms right along it over the next 72 hours. And here you can see that big area of showers and storms developing over the Central Plains into the mid-Mississippi Valley as we head into Tuesday night and Wednesday. Here we go all the way into Wednesday night and then Thursday as this storm system begins lifting off to the northeast into the Northeast region. We can take a little bit of a more long-range look at the European weather model, the European long-range model, and that highlights the pattern. That's all I want to show here is just the shift from this first storm system tracking east across the region. Then we get another low. Here it comes next week there, sweeping up to the northeast. And then this just highlights the pattern, the active storm track for folks here, especially from the southern plains along the East Coast and the southeast into the Northeast region over the next 6 to 10 days. Looks like this will be the active corridor while we dry out across parts of the Corn Belt. Looking at the next 72 hours of precipitation across the Northeast region, going from east to west is where we see the lighter amounts, just about a half of an inch along the East Coast, getting upwards of an inch and a half across parts of New York State. If we take this out, though, looking at the entire next week, broadly speaking, looking at about an inch to 2 inches or so across the entire Northeast region, and that's again because of this pattern with storm systems tracking along the southern plains into the southeast and into the Northeast region, again, over the next week to 10 days. High temperatures, looking at the forecast here just to finish up over the next 5 days or so. I drew a little line on there, but here's where the boundary is on Tuesday. High temperatures in the mid-70s, south of that in the 50s, north of the boundary. Lifts north slightly and becomes a little more diffuse on Wednesday. Your Thursday high temperatures, coolest off to the northeast, warmest off to the southwest, 60s and 70s across Pennsylvania. On Friday, those 70s lifting a little bit further north. And then Saturday, we get cooler air coming in on the backside of that storm system, dropping us into the 50s and 60s for your Saturday high temperature across essentially the entire Northeast region. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Thursday morning ag forecast video, and I'll have your next Northeast regional forecast for you right here on Friday. Have a great day.